All right, guys, we are live. I just need a moment to get settled in and get the comments pulled up, get the presentation for today pulled up. So if you're watching here with us, I can see a ton of you in the comments right now. So make sure to say hello. I just want to make sure I've got everything ready to go. My screen's going to look a little weird for a second. I apologize. And we're going to go into the slideshow. All right. I'm just going to double check that this is looking good on my end. And I think it is. Okay. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. Today, we are doing simple steps to a profitable book launch. Let's see. I'm just double checking to make sure that everyone can hear me and it's looking good so far. All right. It's been a little while since I've done a live stream, so forgive me if I'm rusty. But today, this is a part of the AuthorTube Writing Conference. So if you've already watched a few of the other streams, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you're excited. And all the schedule for the conference is linked in the description of this video, as well as a ton of resources I'll be talking about today. So let's just go ahead and get started. If you have questions, be sure to ask them. You can ask them during the live stream, and I also have like a quick Q&A portion for questions at the end, depending on, how this goes will be how long we have for Q&As, because we've got a full schedule today of other live streams that you guys will want to attend. So what will you be learning? So we're going to be learning how to set your book up for success, identifying and finding your audience, knowing what's on your publishing to-do list, choosing your marketing methods, creating a plan with clear goals, knowing when to outsource, forming a team to promote your book, and lastly, how to create continual book sales. So first things first, this is me. My name is Maddie Lynn. I'm a YouTuber, so I make videos on writing, publishing, and book marketing. I'm also a book cover designer and the creator of the Book Launch Planner, which is one of the resources that we'll be talking about today. So if at any point you want to check out any of the resources, again, they will be all linked down below. What do you guys write? That's what I want to know. So if you are an author or published or unpublished, let us know what genre you write in the comments below. These are my genres. I am currently working on my newest book, which is a sequel to Meet Me at the Summit, which is very fun. So I am currently working on another coming of age romance. So let me know what you guys are working on. I see fantasy with a touch of sci-fi, YA/NA fantasy, paranormal romance, urban fantasy, horror, portal fantasy, epic fantasy. We've got a lot of fantasy people. So feel free to keep on sharing down below. And I'm just going to keep on moving. But I can see a ton of you guys are commenting, which is awesome. Keep it up. And then I also have the Marketing for Authors series, which is, again, another resource I'll be talking about today here. And this is obviously just a series of books on marketing. All right, and then we also have the book planner. So this is we have the book launch planner. So this is gonna be the thing I'm gonna be referencing probably the most today, because the book launch planner is basically a template, is a way you could think of it. It's got to-do lists, checklists, timelines, calendars, as you can see on this page. And I just like to use it when I'm launching my books as a sort of checklist and guide for myself to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And you guys can do the same. So we're going to be walking through a lot of the major things that you need to think of when you're planning your book launch. And most importantly, when your goal is to plan a profitable book launch, because at the end of the day, it's really cool when we can make money off of the books we write. So let's talk about step one in planning a profitable book launch, which is setting your book up for success. So this starts long before your book is published. And we're talking about the genre, the cover, the blurb, tagline, formatting, editing, keywords, categories, and lastly, your marketing mindset. So, a lot of these things are things that you can change after the book is published. But obviously, if you can get it perfected, or not, I wouldn't even say perfected, if you can do the best that you can to make sure all this information is great before your book is published, that is how you're going to be set up for success. I find myself constantly going back and doing more research into marketing my books and how to target the genres correctly and updating my blurb and taglines and sometimes even the formatting, because I've learned as a formatter there are things that you can do to make it even cleaner and better. Um, Sometimes you might need to update the editing of your book, but really the thing that you might find yourself updating the most as an indie author, especially, is your categories and keywords for your book. Now, if you want to know more about how your book sells itself, I would highly suggest checking out the book, How Your Book Sells Itself by Bethany Atazeta and myself, Mandy Lynn. That is the first book in the Marketing for Authors series, and it talks about all these things that you can do to set your book up for success before you publish. And I just wanted to show you guys in action what that looks like. So here we have the title of my book, Meet Me at the Summit. This is just screenshots of KDP on the back end for my book, Meet Me at the Summit. So we have the title and then the subtitle, which is a coming of age romance. So the reason why I have a subtitle is not only to get in the genre, but also to get in some keywords. That way, if someone is searching for coming of age romance on Amazon, it's possible that this book can come up. And then we have descriptions. So you can probably tweak your description for however long you feel like. I have actually updated this book description once or twice already since it's been published. But I found that there are always a few little things that you can do to make your book description a little bit better. I like having that first line bolded, and that line is just kind of like a line that you can use to really hook people in just based off that one sentence. And then we have a few other things in the description as well. One of them being like keywords, like you can see in the second to last paragraph, we have the words sweet romance, travel, coming of age. That's just me throwing some keywords into this description there. And then lastly, a call to action. And that's just to encourage people to buy the book. So that's just, again, another thing that you can do in order to set your book up for success, just in terms of the listing on Amazon or retailer websites. All right, and then we have keywords. So, um, I've always struggled with keywords and finding the best keywords that you can use for your book, because as you guys can see, we only have 7 of them. So right now, these are the keywords that I have for my book, Meet Me at the Summit, and I actually just recently changed these keywords after doing some research using Publisher Rocket. Publisher Rocket is one of my favorite tools for doing category and keyword research. I am an affiliate, so if you're interested in trying out Publisher Rocket, be sure to check out the link in my description. I highly recommend it. It's a great tool, and it basically just allows you to kind of look at keywords that are being used, or not keywords. It allows you to see what other books are using for categories, and then it lets you do some keyword research, and that's how I came up with all these keywords that you see here. And I hope eventually to do a YouTube video on how to use Publisher Rocket, because again, I think it's just such a great tool. And then here we have categories. So if you guys didn't know, you can actually have up to 10 categories of your book. And the way you get all 10 categories is that you basically write out the categories that you want, send it to KDP, and they will manually add it. Unfortunately, even if you have all 10 categories added in, you'll only be able to see 2 on your back end. So this is what my back end looks like. Sorry. So this is what the back end of KDP looks like with the 2 different categories, but I do have 8 others that just aren't listed on KDP. And again, I came up with these categories after doing some research using Kindle Publisher Rocket. Okay, so in the book launch planner, you're able to do some more setting your book up for success because we have like a few little worksheets that you can play around with. You can write out the main genre, the subgenre of your book, your keywords. Sometimes for keywords, especially, I like to just write down a ton and then cross things off as I figure out which keywords are are the best fit for my book. And then we also have a spot to write out your book blurb. And then a few other things are, of course, your cover, formatting, editing. These are things that you might want to hire a professional to do, especially when it comes to your editing. And we're actually going to talk about that a little bit more later on. All right, step number 2 is identifying and finding your audience. So you're going to do that through 2 different things, and that is your ideal reader profile and comparative titles. So your ideal reader profile is this little worksheet that I basically came up with that you fill out to kind of get to know your audience, and comparative titles are books that are similar to yours. So if you want to know more about that, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I go in depth with it in Book Sales That Multiply, because that is a book that is pretty heavy in terms of like talking about advertising. And when you do any sort of paid ads, you really want to make sure that you nail down your ideal reader profile and your comparative titles. So here's the ideal reader profile. This is a page in the book launch planner. You can also get it, I believe, as a printable PDF when you sign up for my newsletter. But this is just a little thing that you fill out. So for every book that you write, you're going to want to fill out an ideal reader profile, and even sometimes a couple of ideal reader profiles. So when you're filling this out, you want to get extremely specific. Like, don't go broad with any of this as you answer these questions. Think of it as if you're filling this out as one singular person. So be very specific about the age, the gender, the education, the profession. Some of these questions aren't going to matter so much when it comes to fiction, but for nonfiction, things like education and profession is extremely relevant. But for fiction, sometimes education and profession isn't quite as relevant. But some of the questions, let's just go through them. What genres do they read? What genres do they dislike? Sometimes knowing their dislikes is extremely important. Who are their favorite authors? This allows you to kind of get into the comp titles a little bit. How would your ideal reader describe your book to a friend? So that is a great way to kind of think outside of the box in terms of um sorry. That allows you to kind of think how someone else would describe your book, because you as a reader get so like close and invested to your book that you know all the plot points and you have no idea how to just describe your book in one sentence. So if you can kind of step outside yourself and just pretend like this is a book that you as a reader read and you want to tell your best friend about it, think about how you would sell that book to them. Like, how do you get them to read the book so you can talk about it with them? And sometimes even I ask this questions to my beta readers, and I ask my beta readers, how would you describe this book to someone? Because beta readers can sometimes come up with really great answers to this question. And you can use that answer as like ad copy when you want to do an ad, or just social media. You can use it for all different sorts of content. I do see a question, so I'm just going to pause for a quick second. Um, and Publisher Rocket, is it a one-time purchase or a monthly subscription? Last I checked, it was a one-time purchase, but I do know that some updates were made to it. But I believe it's still a one-time purchase, and it is a lifetime purchase. So when you purchase Publisher Rocket, you get all updates to the software that come in the future as well. So I just wanted to make sure I got to answer that real quick. So we'll jump back in. My moderator who is watching the comments will make sure that we don't lose track of any comments that come in case I miss them, because that is possible because there's so many of you and that is amazing. Um, I do see a few quick beta reader questions, so I'll touch on that quickly as well. How do you find your beta readers? I find my beta readers through my newsletter. So I just send out a notice in my newsletter, and I have people fill out a form who are interested in being beta readers. And I use the feedback in the form to choose my beta readers and just work with them that way. Um, and this a very similar question. Who do you use for beta readers? Again, I just use people who follow my newsletter. But there's a million different ways that you could find beta readers, but that's what I do. And that's what I found has worked for me. And if you guys are watching and you have worked with beta readers and you want to share how you found your beta readers, be sure to let us know in the comments down below so we can kind of get some ideas. Let's see. So another question on the ideal reader profile is, what are their hobbies outside of reading? What websites or online influencers do they follow? How do they normally discover books they're going to read? And are they on social media? What are their favorite platforms? So these questions are specifically to kind of help you do ad targeting. It kind of helps you figure out what space people are on in terms of social media, like, are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? And if they are, what are their other interests outside of books and reading? That way you're able to target your ads effectively. And then you can see this little nonfiction section down here. We just have two quick questions. What's the struggle that's holding them back from their goal? And what do they seek to learn or discover? So those are specific to nonfiction. So if you write fiction, you obviously don't have to answer those questions. So next up, we have comparative titles. So this is just where you're going to jot out where books that are similar to yours. And so you want to write down the book title, the author of the book, and why that book is a comp title. Is it that the genre is similar? Is it that maybe some tropes of the book are similar to yours? So just make a quick few notes to yourself as to why that book is a comparative title to yours in the first place. And then you can use that book either as keywords when doing Amazon ads, or you can just use it as a way of getting ideas to market your book. So if you see a comparative title, a book that is similar to yours, you can look and see what that author is doing to market their book and what is working. And then you can kind of use that as inspiration to do your own marketing. Let's see. So we have next up is number 3, know what's on your publishing to-do list. So this is maybe the most overwhelming step when it comes to planning a book launch, is that your publishing to-do list is going to be massive. So here we have, this is a page from the book launch planner. You can see the to-do list is pretty long, and this is actually an extremely broad to-do list. So these are all things that will apply, I would say, to most authors. And you can choose to check things off or cross things off as you finish them. But for every individual book you write, you'll notice that you'll have other things that you want to add to your to-do list as well. And if you really want to get your ideas flowing, be sure to check out Plan a Profitable Book Launch, because that goes in depth into a lot of these steps that you see here, because hire an editor is a very broad step, and there's a lot of things that go into that, and that applies with most of the things on this to-do list. I do see a question in the comments. Is your planner for fiction or nonfiction only? It's for both. I think most people are fiction writers that use the book launch planner, but you can definitely use it for nonfiction as well, which is why in the planner, if you go back, you'll see this little section for nonfiction. So if there's ever anything that's different between fiction or nonfiction, it'll be specified in the book launch planner. Um, Okay, so step 4, choose your marketing methods. So, this is where you need to decide what you want to do in order to sell your book. And these are a few questions you're going to want to ask yourself. Where is your audience? What is most worth your time? And what platforms will you be most consistent in? Because I think a lot of the things that new authors struggle with when it comes to marketing is that they think they have to be everywhere at once. And not only is that not true, but it's not possible. Like, I've been doing this for a while now, and there's just some social media platforms that I don't even bother with. I know that for me, what works best for me is Instagram and YouTube. And that's about it. And when it comes to everything else, I may like have dipped my toe in, but I know that that's not where I thrive. So I'm not going to waste my time and energy with that. So, in the book launch planner, I have a whole list of different marketing methods. And basically, if you see something that you want to do, circle it, highlight it, check it off, do whatever it is that you want to do to remind yourself that this is a marketing method that you want to include in your book launch plan. So, we have a cover reveal. I feel like everyone can do that no matter what platform you're on. Street team, having street teams, that's basically just a marketing method where you get a team of people to help promote your book with you. It's a really great tool, but it is very time intensive. Like, you really want to engage with your street team and help them promote you. And then we have Blog Tour, which is basically your book being featured on a different blog every single day for a week or for however long. Social media influencer outreach. That basically just means you send your book to social media influencers. They post about it, they review it, they do whatever it is you want them to do. A pre-order campaign, that's just doing something in order to encourage people to pre-order your book, whether that be like, say if they pre-order your book, you send them stickers, or maybe they get to read the first chapter for free. There's a bunch of different things that you can do to have a successful pre-order campaign. We have a monthly or bi-weekly newsletter, uh, having something like a blog, YouTube, social media platform of your choice. And when I talk about social media, YouTube, or a blog, obviously that's something that you're in it for the long haul. It's not like a one-off thing on your to-do list like a cover reveal or blog tour or street team. When you do social media or have any sort of platform, you want to make sure that you have a long-term plan, not just a plan for, like, say, a month leading up to release. We have a book trailer, giveaways. Giveaways are always fun. Sharing book quotes on social media, having a book release party, whether that be online or in person, doing ads like Amazon, Facebook, BookBub, and of course, scheduling book signings. So let's move on to step number 5, which is create a plan with clear goals. So I actually used to never set pre-order goals or like a goal for how many books I wanted to sell on release day. So I ended up making a page in the book launch planner to do some goal setting, because we all know when we write things down, we're a little more encouraged to achieve those goals. So be clear about your goals, and when you want to achieve them, be realistic, because I cannot tell you how many times I have made unrealistic goals, missed them, and then felt super bad about it. So be realistic. And if you want to do the method of good, better, best goals, that's also really great, where you'll have a good goal that is achievable, a better goal that is maybe a little bit harder to achieve, and then a best goal where you can really shoot for the stars and celebrate if you hit your best goal. And then lastly, break your big goals into steps, which is why I have kind of sort of a step system here. So we have a goal of how many pre orders we want to get, how many sales we want to get on a release day, how many sales we want to get within the first week, the first month, 3 months, 6 months. You can really, have this go for as long as you want to. But then you can see we also have a section here where we can write out where you can put how many books you actually did sell. That way you can kind of compare, be like, did I reach my goal? Did I just barely miss it? Did I overachieve? And then there's a little spot down here where you can kind of brainstorm how you're going to achieve those goals. Like, are you going to be doing a pre order campaign? Are you going to be doing a blog tour? All those sorts of things. And then here we have a book launch timeline. This is going to be how you achieve your goals with some sort of timeline. You don't have to use the one in the book launch planner. This is what the one in the book launch planner looks like. It has the steps, and then it has like a suggestion for how long it might take you. Do note that just because I say it'll take you a month to do self edits, you may take 2 weeks, you may take 3 months. It really depends on you. So these are kind of just sort of guidelines of how much time it may take you. That doesn't mean it will actually take you that long. So you kind of have to get to know yourself as an author to figure out how much time you need to plan your book launch. And then I actually have a couple different ways you can do your book launch. I believe it was this past week, I did a video on how to do a Gantt chart as a book launch timeline. So if you want to see another way to plan things out, be sure to check out that YouTube video. But this is kind of, for me, what I do is I plan things out digitally, and then I come into my book launch planner and I write down all my due dates. Um, so that's how I work, and you guys can do whatever you need to do to plan for yourself. Do note for the book launch planner, I break things down into sections. So all of this is all your little due dates and timeline for editing. And then this is for the cover, for the interior, and then for the details like the blurb, the keywords, the tagline, and then setting up the book, aka uploading it, advanced reader copies, marketing, and then I have just a few blank spots where you can write in your own things. So I always break things into sections like this. You'll even notice if you watch my other YouTube video where I do it digitally with a Gantt chart, I also break it into sections of creating the book, marketing the book, and I believe there was one other section that I can't think of right now. But yeah, so be sure to check that out if you want to. I do see one question. It is, what digital planners do you recommend for beginners? So for digital planners, I recommend whatever you want to work with. I personally use Monday.com. If you want to see exactly how I use Monday.com, again, check out that video that I just posted this past week. Or I also have a video on how I use an Excel sheet, which is also using like a Gantt chart method, but it's not quite as fancy, but it works just as well. I obviously prefer the Gantt chart method, so that's what I'm going to lean to and recommend. But if you want to try out other digital planners, be sure to do that. Another, besides like Monday.com, another digital sort of planning tool I know is Notion. There's a few other tools as well. I can't think of them right now, but I know Notion is a big one that a lot of people love. I'm sure some people in the comments use Notion. So if you have used Notion or Monday or another digital tool, share in the comments down below so we can all kind of test things out for ourselves. Okay, I think that was it for the comments, for now at least. So step number 6, know when to outsource. So, there's a couple things that you need to ask yourself when you're trying to outsource, because I get it, guys. We want to publish on a budget. I feel you. I've been there. I'm still trying to publish on a budget. I feel like for my most recent book that I am releasing later this year, I like want to set a record for cheapest publishing costs. So I personally design my own covers. I personally do my own formatting, but what I can't do is edit my own books. That's something I know is not my strong suit. And even if you are a strong editor, I still believe that you should hire someone. Or even if you don't hire someone, just get other sets of eyes on your book. You're so close to your book that you can't see everything. So you have to know what your weaknesses are. So these are a few questions I like to ask myself in order to figure out, should I hire someone for that? So, can you create something that looks professional, whether that be the cover or the interior or the editing? Is it going to look professional at the end of the day? Because for me, at least, my goal is to make my book not look self published. I want people to assume it is traditionally published, to assume that it is a best-selling book just by how it looks. I want it to blend in professionally wise with everything else on the shelf at Barnes and Noble. Is it worth your time to try to create it yourself? So let's say you can format your book yourself, because a lot of people, that's something you can figure out. Formatting isn't too bad. But is it worth your time? Because especially if you're trying to format with Microsoft Word, I formatted with Microsoft Word, it makes me want to pull my hair out. So when I formatted with Microsoft Word, I would actually say it probably wasn't worth my time to create it myself. It might have been more worth my time to hire someone else. So that's also another question you want to ask yourself. Is it worth your time? If it's going to take you 10 hours or many, many weeks to do it yourself, you might want to consider hiring someone else, just because your time is precious. And then, can it be done faster and better if you hire someone else? This is similar to the last question, but my focus here is, will someone else be able to do it better? So let's say you're like, oh, I can format my book in Microsoft Word, and yeah, it'll take me a couple weeks, but I'll be able to get it done. But will a professional formatter be able to do it better? Will it look cleaner if a professional does it? So that's where that question comes in. And then lastly, is hiring someone in your budget? Because at the end of the day, you do want to set a budget for yourself and you want to stick with that budget. And formatters, cover designers, editors, they range so much in costs. So that needs to be something you need to be mindful of. And sometimes when you set a budget for yourself, you may not be able to afford to hire everyone you want to outsource. You may only be able to afford one person. So you have to make sure, what is it that you want to hire someone for? Which part of it do you feel like is most important that you bring in a professional for? Is it the cover design? Is it the editing? Is it the formatting? And maybe you can afford to hire like a really fancy editor, but you might need to go on a smaller budget for your cover design or your formatting. Let's see. I see a question coming in. Question: can you recommend a formatter? So ironically, I format books. So if you go to stoneridgebooks.com, you can always hire me. Or I just recently released a book formatting course where I teach you how to format your book in Adobe InDesign. So you can also learn to do it yourself in a timely manner. So there's the answer to that question. And I believe I saw one more. Yes. So if someone wanted to create their own covers, is there an affordable online course you would recommend to get started on cover design? That is a good question. I mostly learned cover design. I took graphic design classes in college. I learned design fundamentals, and then I just kind of self taught for the most part. So I don't know any like really go-to cover design courses. I've taken a cover design course here and there, but they were more advanced, like you should already have some significant experience before you take it, and I also can't remember what that course was. Um, but if I think of it, I will share it on Instagram later if you guys remind me. I think that might have been it. Okay. Uh, let's move on to the next slide. So this is again to outsource. Um, just a spot where you can kind of write out your thoughts, where you can kind of check off who you want to hire. Other people you can hire is PR company or virtual assistant. That is just totally personal preference on whether or not you want to hire those types of people. And then here, I like to use this area to write down different editors to kind of decide who is the best fit for me. So I write down their name, their references and experience, what their turnaround time is, price, and notes. And that way I can kind of really cross compare my different options and choose who is best for my budget and best for my needs. So that is what this section here is in the book launch planner. And there's also a couple pages. I don't have it here in the slide, but there's another set of pages to fill out for your formatter, PR company, and virtual assistant. So step number 7, form a team to promote your book. So this applies to things like your cover reveal, your street team, and your advanced readers. So your cover reveal are people who sign up to help promote your cover on the day you reveal your cover. Your street team, I talked about that a little bit earlier. They're just people who volunteer their time to help promote your book on social media. And your advanced readers are readers that read your book before the book is officially released. They're the ones that read it, and they're the ones that hopefully will post a review of your book either on Amazon or on social media, either like on release day or right around release day. So, let's talk about your cover reveal team. So, in the book launch planner, I have a few different pages for cover reveal. I have our cover reveal checklist, like deciding on the cover reveal release, cover reveal date, promotional graphics, creating a folder for all the graphics that you create. So then you can easily share that folder with your cover reveal team. And then I have like an example of an email that you can send out to your cover reveal team. I believe I also in the book launch planner have an example of a form that people can fill out to sign up for your cover reveal team. Cover reveals are super, super fun. There is a lot of steps in the cover reveal process, as you can see right here, but I promise you it is well worth it. Your cover reveal day is one of the highest sales days. Your highest sales days for your book are usually your cover reveal and release day. So you want to make sure that you go out with a bang when it comes to your cover reveal. That is why I always recommend that authors wait to reveal their cover until they have a pre-order link available for their book. And if you don't plan on doing pre-orders, then that's fine. But if you do plan on doing pre-orders, I highly, highly recommend waiting to reveal that cover until that link is ready, because someone's going to see the cover and be like, oh my God, I want to read that book. So you want to make sure that people are able to pre-order the book. And then we have your street team. So again, this is just a checklist of creating your street team and a form, like an example of a form that people can fill out. So this is just me showing you what your form should look like, but you're basically going to take all this information and create it as a Google form. That way you can share it with people on social media. They can fill it out, and you can use all this information to choose who you want to have on your street team. And you can host your street team wherever you want. I usually do Facebook groups, but you can also do Discord, like a Discord server. That's also a really great way, especially if you're not someone who's on Facebook. So that is the street team really quick. Then we have your street team contact list. So I like to check in on my street team when I do have a street team. I don't tend to do street teams often because they are super, super time consuming. But when I do, I fill out all this info so I can easily reach out to them by email, or I can, stalk them on social media anytime I want. So that's what that page is for. And then we have task ideas, because when you have a street team, and this is why I say it is very time consuming, because your street team will only be as successful as you make it, not as successful as your street team makes it, because you are going to need to come up with tasks for them to do. And these are a bunch of different fun things that you can have them do to help promote your book. And then you're going to make sure that you want to stay on top of those tasks. So I write out what the task is. I write out when I want to post about the task to my street team. And then I write out when the due date is, because I always give my street team a due date, like right here, write a review of the book and post it on Goodreads or their blog. So I'll be like, okay, I want them to write the review by July 31st. So I'd write that right here, and maybe I post about it on July 1st. So I just like to schedule things out for myself. So that's what that page is for. Let's see. I see a quick question, and this could be a little tech issue on my part. Someone says they're getting a 404 message on the website, which I apologize for. If you are looking for the book launch planner, go to stoneridgestickers.com and you will find it there. I will go ahead and actually get that in the comments real quick. I apologize. That is just the story of my life, guys. I'm like forgetting the name of my own company as I type. Yeah, so apologies. I did not check that, but here is the correct link, like the direct link. So the landing page is having issues, but this direct link on stoneridgestickers.com should work. Fingers crossed. Let me know. I apologize. Okay, so jumping back into it, hopefully that fixes the issue. We have your team for advanced readers. So again, your advanced reader copies that you're going to be sending out. So again, we have a lovely Google form that we're going to create. And then just a little quick checklist of things that we're going to want to do. A spot to brainstorm on how we want to get people to kind of sign up as advanced readers. And here is an example of the form that you can have people fill out to decide who is going to get an advanced reader, who is going to get an advanced copy of your book, because you can't give an advanced copy to everyone. You want to make sure that who you send it to are people who are actually going to review it on Amazon and who are actually going to post about it on social media. Because at the end of the day, this is a way to market your book. So you don't want to just send it to someone for free. And then also a quick note here, besides doing Google form and manually sending out advanced reader copies, you can also use a website called Story Origin. And it allows you to basically streamline the process. There's a form that you create on Story Origin, and you can just choose to accept someone. And when you accept someone as an advanced reader, it sends them the ebook copy of the book to read, and I believe also sends them a reminder to review the book when it is published. So that is another quick, fun resource. I don't believe that one's linked in the description of this video, though. So just go to this website right here, storyoriginApp.com. Okay, so where to find advanced readers? There's a couple different things to do. And unfortunately, there's no magic trick. I know everyone's always looking for the magic trick, but it's simple as all of this. Post about it on social media. Reach out to reviewers on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. AKA just directly message them. Be super nice about it, though. Like, don't be spammy. If they prefer to be reached out over email, reach out over email and not message them. So do your research when you can. Reach out to past reviewers on Goodreads. Reach out to your author friends, and then ask your regular old friends and family if they can read your book and write a review of it on social media, or usually when it comes to friends and family, I prefer they review it on Amazon rather than social media, because I don't know about you guys, I still get embarrassed sometimes, but I know, they're so supportive, and we do like to encourage that when we can. So step number 8, I do believe this is our last step. So yay. We have our continual book sales. So how do we get more book sales even after the release is said and done? The key to that answer is author platform, social media, paid marketing, and in-person events. These are the 4 basic things that you can do to continue to make book sales long after a book is released. So your author platform, that's your website, your blog. For me, it's my YouTube. So that's what I use to create continual book sales. Social media, that is things like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Now I can't believe I haven't mentioned TikTok at all in this webinar, but that's a huge place to find book sales. I haven't figured it out yet. I don't understand I understand TikTok as a consumer, but not as a creator. So if anyone has oh my gosh, if anyone has TikTok tips, be sure to share them in the comments below. But besides that, we also have paid marketing. My personal favorite is Amazon ads. And then lastly, in-person events. I still do in-person events. I used to do them once a month. I do them maybe 2 or 3 times a year now. But I like to do Comic-Cons, vendor fairs, wine festivals. I did a wine festival and sold a ton of books at a wine festival once. So those are all just the very many different things that you can do to create continual book sales. And if you're curious about, growing your author platform and social media presence, be sure to check out Grow Your Author Platform and Secrets to Selling Books on Social Media. In the book launch planner, there is, before every calendar month in the planner, there's a spot to plan out your newsletter. And then there's also a spot to track your social media growth. So that is a fun way to see, if what you're doing is paying off. Paid marketing. If you want to know more about paid marketing, that's a big subject. So that is why in the book launch, in the book sales that multiply, this is our largest marketing for authors books, because it's a lot to talk about. And in there we talk about Amazon ads, Facebook ads, ebook promotions, like doing fun newsletter swaps. That's also a great way to market your book. And newsletter swaps can be paid. Swaps can be free or paid, or you can do like newsletter features where you pay to basically have an ad in a newsletter. There's a bunch of different things. Next, and I believe last, we have in-person events. So like I said, this is actually a photo from my wine festival. You can tell because I have a sign that says "Need some books with that wine," and my sad attempt at a drawing. But you get the idea. It's a really great way to reach totally new people. Odds are, whenever you do events, you won't run into anyone who has heard of you online. It's a whole new pool of readers that you can pitch your books to. So when you're doing in-person events, you do really want to make sure that you know how to pitch your book in one sentence. Like, you have to make sure that when someone comes up and asks you about your book, that you can just rattle off the hook of your book really quick. Like when someone asks me what my books are about, I put my hand over each book cover and I say one sentence about each book. That way I can kind of get the spiel out there, and then I make sure if they have questions about one particular book, I go more in depth and hopefully close that sale. And for in-person events, we also have like a sample of an email that you can send to bookstores if you want to do like a release party at a bookstore, because that's always really fun. And then I also have a contact list for bookstores, so you can write down the store name, address, contact info, notes. This is also good if you want to do consignment on your book, aka like you bring your book to the bookstore and they sell it and then give you money after they sell it. So consignments usually have a contract. So you want to make note of the contract terms right here. But it's a little more complicated. I believe I have a YouTube video on my channel about doing like consignments with bookstores. So be sure to check that video out as well. Because again, that is slightly more complicated. I'm not a huge fan of doing consignments because I tend to lose track of where my books physically are, and then therefore accidentally end up donating my book to that bookstore because I forget to ask them if it ended up selling. So just be mindful of that if you do that. Okay, so that brings us to the end. So this is where we get to go and see if we have any questions. If you want to, I was going to say, if you want to check out the book launch planner, go to thebooklaunchplanner.com, but I believe one of the links in there is broken. So if you do want to check out the book launch planner, go to this link that I just put in the comments. And then for the conference, the next session, I believe, starts in like 9 minutes. So that's all we have for time for questions. So I'm going to close out. We're going to go back to our regular view. And I'm going to see if there's any questions I missed. I am almost determined, like, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to get through all of them, but I will try my best. So I'm going to scroll back. Let's see. I'm just looking for questions. If you have any questions that I missed earlier, drop them in the comments now. That'll make my life a little bit easier. If my moderator has questions that you've collected, let me know. I feel like I might have done okay with answering them. Let's see. Does Amazon charge for Kindle ARCs? Okay, so that is a great question. And basically, the quick answer to that is you have to send it manually yourself. So you basically take a Mobi file and you email it to whoever signs up to be an advanced reader. Whoever signs up to be an advanced reader. So it's kind of done like under the table, if you want to put it that way. So no, they don't charge to send out advanced reader copies. Ooh, this is a really good question. Okay, wouldn't our friends and family screw up Amazon algorithm for also bots if they didn't already read our genre? So yes, you could argue, yes, it could potentially screw up the Amazon also bots. I'm not asking your friends and family to buy the book. I think they should. I think they will anyways to support you. But what I was saying earlier is you want them to review the book on Amazon. You don't necessarily need them to buy the book. You want them to review the book. But even then, sometimes, like if you're friends with someone on Facebook, somehow Amazon knows who's friends with you on Facebook, and they see that and they don't always allow the review to be published on Amazon. I know that was an issue for me at one point. Like people who were friends with me on Facebook couldn't review my book, which was annoying. I don't know if it's quite an issue anymore. But as far as the also bots go, like the also bot suggestions at the bottom, I think having a few friends and family shouldn't screw that up too bad. And the longer your book is posted online, the more niche those also bots will get and be more correct, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Is your planner for fiction or nonfiction only? I did answer this earlier. It's for both. There's some spots in the planner that you see are specific to nonfiction. And then also, I know this question comes up all the time. Is the planner for self-published only? It definitely, like, self-published authors can use all the stuff in the planner, whereas traditionally published authors may only use some pages in the planner. Let's see. What other questions do we have here? Where do you connect with other authors to network? For me, it was YouTube, and then meeting in person, but also going to things like book events, whether that be book signings or I want to keep saying BookCon, but BookCon is no longer a thing. But any sort of networking event that you can come up with, Facebook groups, um, Instagram. There's so many places you can meet other writers now and connect and network with. And the less you like try to force it to happen, the easier it will happen. Um, Oh, here's a great question. Can you avoid the toxic Goodreads world, or is it a necessary evil for indie authors? So I also am not a fan of Goodreads. I just post my books there and then I don't ever check it. So I would say it is a necessary evil because I do believe you should at least have your book listed there and have control of the listing in terms of like the description of the book and the cover. But besides that, I never check the reviews because I do find as an author, it can be really hard to be present there. And I'm not going to go any further than that. Here's a great suggestion. Connect with other authors, social media, online events, NaNoWriMo forums. That's a really good one, especially the region ones where you can actually physically meet people. And then, yeah, your favorite authors book events. Um, let's see. Have you heard of book sirens? You can get ARC readers. I personally have not heard of book sirens, but if you guys want to do your own research, be sure to check that out as well. Let's see. Can we become an affiliate of your books and planner? You can. Let me grab that link for you guys real quick. So you can become affiliate for my entire my stickers, um my signed books, the book launch planner. I just posted that comment in the comment section. So you'll see it as stonerichstickers.gofpro.com. So that is the app that I use for affiliates where you get paid to kind of help make sales. And then this is going to be my last question because we're for sure out of time. Let's see. If we see that one should spend at least as much on book marketing as one did on production, how much should one budget for a book launch? Ooh, that's a big question. Let me think about that. If we once spent as much on book marketing as did on production, how much should we? I think that really depends on what your goals are. I believe that you should keep the costs down as much as possible, and be super super realistic with how much you think you can actually make. Because your first book, realistically speaking, your first book may not be a moneymaker. Your second book may not be a moneymaker. And sometimes it takes a little bit for a book to kind of catch steam and really start making sales and making you back money, especially if like you spent a lot of money on the production. But I'm a firm believer that it all comes down to persistence more than anything else. And also just being willing to learn and change and adapt, especially when it comes to like your listing on Amazon. Like just because you wrote the book blurb once doesn't mean that it's final. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to make updates. Um, okay, I feel like that was a good place to end. Thank you all so much for tuning in. like Jenna says here, check the description box for everything. There's a form. There's a feedback form to fill out. I almost forgot to mention that. But find all the info in the description box down below. Make sure to fill out that form. Make sure to go to the other live streams later today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And yeah, thank you for being here. This was my first live in a long time, so if I stumbled over my words, I apologize, but it felt like you were all so patient with me and so attentive. So thank you, and I might see you guys in the other sessions in the chat section.